This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Millennials and baby boomers alike, they want to be in urban environments right now.
Thank God for the Electoral College vote.
In a 4-hour breakfast, we raised $9,000. So that's something that we take pretty seriously.
And you can't diet your way into being lean and fit. They go together.
In New York City, deciding what's best for the rest of the freaking country.
This is not a market built on a stack of cards. It's a solid foundation.
0%. That is a thumbs up.
Everyone has a life worth telling a story about. And the more adversity that you faced, the deeper your story.
Well, am I going to be okay in it? Like, am I going to be able to walk?
There's just so much creativity in this town that it's hard to hide it.
Well, you have these beliefs, well, what do you do with it?
Our next guest is here with a couple of guests of his own to help with senior housing options. Welcome back realtor from Berkshire Hathaway California Properties, Bryan Devore, owners of Silver Linings Transitions, Jami Shapiro, and owner of Senior Care Options, Cathy Ellis.
All right, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Welcome back.
Always happy to be here.
Welcome back, Jami.
Thanks
for coming, Cathy. Appreciate you being here. Today to talk about senior housing options, which there are a lot of, and it's kind of a difficult conversation for a lot of people to have because they don't even know where to begin with it, and that's always the toughest stuff where you don't even know where to begin. But that's what we're going to figure out today, right, Bryan?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had Jami on the show before. We've talked about Divorce Home Solutions, the program that she and I started for divorcing couples, as well as her business, Silver Linings Transitions, which was created to help seniors transition from their homes into senior communities. And I wanted to bring Jami on to introduce Cathy, who is a very important component of that process.
Okay, cool.
Right. So thanks. So we actually execute the move when somebody has decided that they can no longer remain in their home, and it's an overwhelming process for them. And I think I've mentioned before that it's identified as relocation stress syndrome, and it's one of the most significant stressors that they will ever face in their life. And they've got physical limitations often that come with being seniors, and sometimes they have family that are available, and sometimes the family doesn't have the time to take off of work. So we execute the move, but what I wanted to bring Cathy in on is what happens from the time they're in their home to until they go into that senior community. So what will often happen, and Cathy has referred business to us before, where she is actually called in to help somebody make the decision on where to go, and then we take it from there. So Cathy's been a great resource for us and is a great resource for seniors who have to make this decision in their families.
Cathy, where do you begin with something like this? Somebody calls you up and says, hey, we know something's got to happen here. How do you start?
Well, just to start with my background, for the last 35 years I've worked with seniors, and for 25 years I ran the large senior living communities.
Okay.
And a large community isn't for everyone. And that's when they call me and they give me this, the situation. Some people want to stay home with in-home care, and some people do want to move. So in a case where recently I brought, Jami and I worked together, a senior was all alone. She had a huge home, and she didn't know where to begin. She didn't have anyone to help her. So we strategized on, first of all, finding a place for Barbara. And I personally took her around. We personally checked. My husband and I started Senior Care Options 3 years ago because we want to, personally take people to these communities, and we check them out personally, plus we go online and check them out with the Department of Social Services, because they definitely vary. And people have different amounts of money to spend.
Sure.
Not everybody can afford a $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month community. So whether it's a $3,000, $4,000 budget, we try to work and find the best option.
And it can get up there quick too. Those costs.
It can. And San Diego County probably has one of the largest senior populations. But not everybody has really saved their money. So we try to if they have a $3,500 budget, we try to work within that budget and try to find the safest solution for them. Some people really want a place with lots of activity. It just depends on their individual needs. Each one is so varied.
And locations too, I imagine, are a big deal because there's probably family involved sometimes where there's grandkids or maybe even sons and daughters that are around, and proximity to that probably plays a big role too, huh?
Oh yes. I mean, so many people want these high-end coastal communities, but when they realize it could be a $500,000 buy-in, then they're like, well, no, it's not going to really fit in our budget. So when I find out, well, what is your budget? Let's say it's $4,000, and they have one daughter in Escondido, another son in La Jolla. We try to find something in between, and we narrow it down to about 3 or 4 places, and we take them out, and we start from there, and then the process just goes from there.
Okay, so so as far as the solution, the overall solution, your role is in locating the ideal place for the senior to relocate to.
It is.
And then after you make that assessment and that determination, the work sort of begins, right, at that point.
It
Because
does.
that whole transition there's a lot of steps involved.
There's a lot of steps, and then, a lot of times we put them in connection with someone that can help them with veterans benefits that might help pay for it. There's some people have long-term care insurance. I mean, I don't mind if anyone contacts us and just wants to talk about the process. Our fee doesn't cost you anything because we get paid by the community if a placement occurs. But really, it's not about making any kind of money. It's about finding the proper place for them. So everyone is totally different. So it just depends.
Yeah, if they want to be in a more social environment, or what kind of care they might need.
Do you know there's 750 licensed communities in San Diego County.
750?
750.
Holy smokes.
And I would say the majority are these small 6-bed board and care homes. They're licensed by the Department of Social Services, and if you're one of 6 people, and you're going to be receiving a lot of care. But if you're still very social, you want good meals, and you really want a hip and happening place, then a larger community would be for you. So it really just depends. And if maybe one spouse has dementia, one's very active still, then I try to find a community where they both could have their needs met. Again, at their certain price.
What I like about this too is, when you're making this transition, usually it's not just the person who's moving that's involved in the transition, it's their children who are involved as well. They have their own needs and wants of where they want mom or dad to be. And 750, there's so many choices that are out there, I wouldn't know where to begin. If I had to help my mom or dad move into one of these communities, I don't know how I'd even begin. To have someone like this would be hugely invaluable to be able to guide me to where they should be. That's going to be best for them long term.
Yeah, I think what happens a lot of times, unfortunately, is people will delay a decision because they don't know where to begin, and then you start to really put yourself up against it. That's the trouble. If you wait until you absolutely have to do something, then you can make a bad decision because you don't have the time to do all the vetting that you're talking about. You're going to say, oh man, we got to do something right now. Right. Like, mom has to go somewhere today. That can really be uncomfortable for you. And if you're in a situation, I'll just use my grandpa as an example, where he knew where he wanted to go years before he needed to go there.
That's smart.
So when the time came, no one had any questions, and he didn't have any questions. No one had any concerns. It was simply a matter of, okay, which room are we going to get? And he's very happy and comfortable with his transition. I think that was a big part of it.
That's great. I love when a client that we're working with is really proactive in that decision. But what I have found in my experience is a lot of people, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. I mean, I always tell people aging is inevitable if we're lucky, but we kind of want to dig our heads in the sand and pretend it isn't going to happen and that we're not going to have physical limitations. And also looking long term, actually, the cost of minimum wage is going to go up. So people who have in-home care now, it's not going to be as affordable for them. And they need to start looking at, is it going to be affordable to remain in my home? Am I going to get the socialization? Am I going to be able to afford it? Or is an option like moving into a senior community the right one?
Well, the biggest misconception is Medicare is going to cover this. And Medicare only covers after a 3-day hospital stay. And that's only in a skilled nursing facility. So assisted living is all private pay. But the good news is, if you qualify for Medi-Cal, there is a new assisted living Medi-Cal waiver program. It isn't very easy to always get on right away, but we can also, give you, we have lots of resources on our website, and we can put you in connection with someone that can help you with that as well.
So you're not just helping to locate, the right place, but you're also helping people figure out ways to fund.
Yes, I mean, not everybody is going to want to move to a community, and you should stay at home as long as you possibly can, and I'm totally an advocate for that. It's just, and then when people say, well, I'm just going to stay home and bring in home care, which is wonderful, but your average in-home care company charges $22 to $25 an hour. So if you need 24-hour care, that could be $10,000 to $15,000 a month. So we always, say stay home if you can, but when that's not feasible and you're not, and it's very isolating. I mean, life can begin at 80 in the right senior community. I worked in senior living since I was 19, and I'm proud to say I'll be 56 in a few months, and I have had the best times of my life working in senior communities. I really do miss the fun. So, you only hear about the bad in the media, but there's a lot of fun that goes on in the senior communities.
No question. The socialization is huge for, quality of life. It really is. And that's the thing that really you miss out on a lot of times. Right. I know, my grandpa, to bring him up again, is a very popular man. Women tend to outlive the men, and so
men usually are.
That's right.
He's a very popular guy.
Yeah.
I mean, so, there's no way to give you a jolt of rejuvenation, like all of a sudden getting all sorts of attention.
Right.
Gives you a reason to get dressed up every day, and you get more exercise, walking to the dining room 3 times a day.
And some of these communities, it's like a cruise ship on land. I want to live in some of these places. It's fantastic.
Oh, I've seen those too.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. I think it's an amazing service that you're providing. Thank you guys so much for coming in today and sharing this with us. I think it's going to provide a great resource for a lot of people.
Thank you so much.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is here to let us know what to expect with dual agencies. Please welcome the owner of ReMax Pacific, Max Folkers.
He's back. Maximus. What's up, my friend?
Good to be back. How are you doing?
Doing great. So, a couple things today. I mean, I'd love to get your take on the market always.
Yeah.
But one thing that has come up for our Win This Listing shoots a couple of times now, in fact, we've had some homeowners say they specifically don't want any dual agency stuff going on. I know you had a story recently about that, so I was wondering if I could just kind of pick your brain, the pros, the cons to dual agency.
Yeah, you know what? I actually got my first experience at small claims court. Thankfully, it wasn't my case, but I was there to support one of our agents. And it was surrounding dual agency. And for those of you who don't know, dual agency is when both the seller and the buyer are represented by the same, well, technically the same brokerage, but usually what they think of is it's the same agent. And in this case, the seller felt that he had been wronged because he didn't quite understand that was the case, and he thought he should have gotten a discount on the commission. He thought maybe he could have gotten a better price for the house if there was another agent involved. And so it was really interesting for me to go and see the legal aspects of it and how the court views it, but then also get to hear how the client themselves viewed it and the agent and everything that went into that.
So small claims, so that means under 7,500, right?
Correct.
We're still calling it 7,500. Has
Yep.
that adjusted for inflation in a while? I don't know.
Nope,
Maybe it needs to go up.
That's it.
So 7,500. So they weren't making a huge claim
Nope.
here, but this is going towards the agency E&O, right? I mean, that's the vat that you're trying to dip into with that.
Yeah, well, so what they were going for is they wanted half of the commission wiped out. He said, hey, I signed on to pay you a listing commission. You also collected the selling agent or the buyer's commission. I think you should only get half of that. Not only that, but I want to ping you for some punitive damages because I don't feel like you adequately represented my interests in this case. And it was really interesting. I had the opportunity to talk with the seller and get his take, and I certainly understand where he was coming from. Ultimately what dual agency does or can do is sort of leave some question marks in your mind about really who are you representing. And I've read that the majority of residential real estate cases that do come up are as a result of dual agency, where there have been some concerns about disclosures and, are you representing my
conflicts
best
of
interest?
interest?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You have a situation that's actually should be fine. I mean, on paper,
Right.
it should be fine,
Right.
should work out fine, shouldn't be a big deal, but does cause a lot of problems. And I'm starting to see now a lot of people saying we don't want this. So that's pretty interesting. But of course, while I have you here, I'd love to hear what you think about what we should expect coming around the corner, what you think the fourth quarter is going to round out to be, and what your expectations are for the first quarter of 2017.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, the last round of numbers that have come out through, Case-Shiller and CoreFact are showing that we're back up above 500,000 for the median home price in San Diego, which is the first time since November of 2005.
Because that includes the attached, right?
Yeah, that's attached and detached. Yep, that's all of San Diego County as well. You can real estate's super hyper local, and so you can pick out areas that are behaving differently. But yeah, for the overall area, and so that was in 11 years, first time we've broken that 500,000 mark. But what's interesting is we still haven't hit our previous peak of 517. So from a technical perspective, you'll see you've got these dips and peaks, and historically the new peak is always higher than the previous one. And if you look at it that way, then we've still got a bit of a run to go. And certainly what I'm seeing, inventory is still the driving factor. Interest rates have bumped up a little bit after the Trump election. The Trump bump.
Anything?
No. If anything, I'm seeing it get some people off the fence. They're like, okay, we've been talking about increased interest rates. It's going to happen. And it never happens. Guess what? Now it's happening. And so I think people are starting to make a move. And so I think that's going to carry through the new year. And I don't know. My prediction is that we're going to actually see volume go up, assuming that we've got the inventory to support that.
Assuming the sellers are ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they usually are come spring.
Yep.
That's kind of the way that it goes. Do you think buyers who have been frustrated by the low inventory circumstance will have better luck come March, April?
God, that's really hard to say. I tell you, I am coaching my sellers right now. Let's get your place on the market. There's not much competition right now. You hold the cards. Let's get your place, quote unquote, sold, or at least in escrow, so that come that spring buying season, you're in the best possible situation where you're not writing a contingent offer anymore. Now you've sold your house, you're in a comfortable lease back, you're still in your home, and if something comes on, you're ready to go like that. Because I think that's really what it's going to take, because I do expect this spring to be just like the last 2 years, and people are going to come out of the gates.
Yeah, they're going to come out furiously. As you see a lot of people sort of take the holidays off, and that's a smart move. If you can sell now where there's very little inventory, buyers are very serious.
Yeah.
You can get top dollar and then rent back the home and be ready to pull the trigger in spring. Fantastic advice. Max, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Great stuff from Max Folkers.
Anytime.
Stick around, of course, for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is here to share how they are making the dream of home ownership come true. Please welcome for the first time the National Sales Manager for Unison Home Ownership Investors, Mike Lyon.
There he is. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. Well, I mean, there's a lot of challenges that home buyers are facing in today's marketplace, and have been for several years now. And you and your organization really help address some of those challenges, or many of those challenges, actually.
We do indeed, absolutely. The challenge, of course, in California particularly, is that home prices have continued to rise over time. Fortunately, we've had a low interest rate environment for the last few years, which has helped. But the rising price environment, along with low inventory, makes it very challenging, very competitive to be able to buy a home in California. Most offers are made in a multiple offer situation, so you're always competing with the other person to try to buy the home of your dreams. So we help in many ways, actually. Home buyers up to this point have only had a debt-only solution, meaning they could either just borrow the money with private mortgage insurance or get a secondary loan, or of course at minimum have 20% down to avoid those things. A debt-only solution unfortunately, is very restrictive, very finite. You either qualify for it or you don't. You either have the 20% down or you're really behind the 8 ball relative to being able to make an offer. So we offer a non-debt solution with our Unison home buyer agreement. It's really about empowering buyers in this environment, flexibility and options that they've never had before. So we're very excited.
Would you call this a down payment assistance type
I wouldn't say
program?
down payment assistance. We like to call it down payment enhancement.
Okay.
Because what we're doing very simply is we're investing, we're partnering with the buyer right alongside them and enhancing their down payment and therefore enhancing their ability to buy the home.
And that's definitely the number, from what I see, the number one issue for people is saving enough money to make a down payment. Because you have to save a significant chunk of change. If we're saying the average home price or home value is about $500,000, let's say approximately in San Diego County, 20% down payment is $100,000. Just a 10% down payment is $50,000, and 5% is $25,000. So that's a lot of money for most people to try to save, to sock away. It could take years and years and years. So I'm curious about what it is specifically. What does that Unison home buyer program or contract look like for somebody? Like, let's say I want to buy a house, but I don't have the money. How does that look?
Well, thank you for asking that question. You've hit on many of the pain points, but saving is the primary one. We deal with a lot of people where the monthly payment isn't really the issue. They can handle the monthly payment on the home of their dreams, but saving up for that down payment is really a hindrance. It's really a barrier to entry into home ownership. And so by virtue of partnering with them, we allow them to move up that time horizon significantly. The uniqueness relative to our program is because we're an investment company, we're a home ownership company. We don't bring debt to the equation. We bring cash to the equation, but there's no payments or interest associated with our agreement. So we not only allow that potential purchaser to be competitive when making an offer, but we're not adding the burden of debt to the process. So very unique.
Hold on a second. So you're telling me you give me money to help me buy a house, but I don't have to pay you back?
Well, I didn't say you didn't have to pay me back, but I did say that
I don't have to make a monthly payment to you.
That's correct, nor is interest ever charged for up to 30 years into the future. So the takeaway, of course, for our clients and for all of the purchasers out there is flexibility and options and empowerment around this whole process.
So if there's no payment associated, from what I understand, that would really help the qualification process too, would it not? Because typically, someone, and this is more of an old school thing, but people used to get 2 mortgages, 80-20s or 80-15s or 80-10s, where you get a first and a second mortgage at the time to help, reduce that down payment amount. But of course, that second mortgage had a higher interest rate, a pretty big payment, and therefore the overall mortgage obligation was really high. And that made it even more difficult, for people. So it sort of canceled itself out. From what I understand, what you're saying is by providing that down payment enhancement, that would actually help people reduce their payment, wouldn't it?
No question. You've hit on a pain point as well, and that's not old school. That's still happening today. So today, if you have less than 20% down, and you're making an offer, you're behind the 8 ball on a number of fronts. Number one, getting your offer accepted with less than 20% down is very difficult. Yeah. Number two, you either need to have a PMI associated with that debt solution or a secondary loan in place, which adds all sorts of challenges and complications to the transaction, 2 sets of approvals and expenses, no question about it. So essentially, by bringing no debt to the equation, we're allowing, number one, buyers to be competitive. Number two, to have lower debt because we're taking the loan from 90% and or with secondary financing all the way down to 80%. We're removing PMI from the equation and or secondary financing from the equation. So all of that therefore reduces their debt structure and allows them to feel more confident and comfortable, not only be competitive, but also put them in a position of more responsible home ownership.
It's very powerful.
It is.
Situation there. I got to ask you though, Mike. I mean, what's the catch? What's what's in it? What's in it for you guys?
Well, we get that question asked a lot of us. Trust me. But it's more about what's the catch. Like, who would do it? What financial institution would partner in a down payment? Never expect monthly payments nor interest. And the answer is that our investors are university endowment programs and pension funds. Both of those very patient capital looking for ways to invest in single-family residential real estate to hedge inflation and for long-term returns. And we partner with the buyer in the down payment, and then we partner with them in the future change in value of the property, up or down, going forward. And it's market movement only. So we're a true partner in that sense.
Wow. I tell you, that's a landmark idea that no one has really, I've never heard of this before. So I've never heard of anything even like this before.
It's been around a long time in the
really
commercial
that,
sense.
That really is a partnership, though.
It
I
is.
mean, you know,
True
you're partnering with the home buyer in a way that is almost like you're investing alongside them, almost like you're buying stock in their home ownership opportunity. So what you're saying is the people who are your investors, your ultimate investors, are the very long-term oriented, very patient, big money people who say, you know, we want to invest in something that's really secure and safe like homes, which over long periods of time have shown to go up and up and up. And that also, at the same time, allows you to really put home buyers in a position that they could have never otherwise been in to buy a home with a bigger down payment, have a lower monthly payment, skip the PMI, which is a huge deal killer for so many people. That is insane. That's amazing. So how do I qualify for something like this? I mean, what do I need to have? Do I need to have certain credit scores, or do I need to be buying in certain neighborhoods?
Well, we're very fortunate to be currently working with the agencies, and we have partnering or participating lenders that are participating with our program. So essentially, we don't qualify the buyer. We let our lending partner do that. We're concerned, and we want to, of course, view the home or preview the home very quickly in advance to make sure it's a property that we'd like to invest in right alongside the buyer. But the process is very simple. We simply work right alongside our lender. It's all done in lockstep, very synergistic with the process. So we add no burden or qualifying from the purchaser's perspective.
Okay, so it's just if they're qualified through your lender, then you're good, and then you're just going to double check the property, which I see that as a huge benefit, especially for first-time home buyers who don't really know what to. I'm sure, you know, having your expertise on top of, you know, their emotion in wanting to buy a house is helpful from the investment side. It's just, if you come in and you say, you know, we don't want to invest in this property, then they probably shouldn't either.
That's interesting. I've had that conversation a few times, as you might imagine. Yeah. So yes, absolutely, having a second set of eyes strictly from a investment perspective is critical to many buyers.
That is incredible. Wow. So could you have an example? Can you tell me about somebody who maybe recently used the program or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the value propositions, as you might imagine, are significant. Yeah. From a debt-to-income ratio perspective, from a wanting to conserve cash perspective. I'll give you a perfect example of a recent homeowner that called me. They had fallen in love with a house. They were both, however, big cooks. That was their passion. The one thing that hadn't been updated in the house was the kitchen. And that was, from their perspective, a deal breaker. They had the full 20 to put down. However, they learned about us. They called me. So, Mike, we have an idea. We've got this full 20, but it's all the money we have. And we can't imagine how we're going to be able to remodel the kitchen, which is really critical to us. So the question they had was, how about if we save back some of that 20, conserve that cash, ask you to make up the difference via your down payment enhancement program, and we take that cash and remodel the kitchen and make it our perfect dream home. And of course, we were more than delighted to do it.
Wow.
So that's just one of the many value propositions.
One of the flexible ways
Absolutely.
that you can use it, even if you have 20 already. Ah, man, great
Absolutely.
stuff. Mike Klein, thank you so much for coming in.
My
This
pleasure.
is an incredible program.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Amazing stuff
Nice
for
meeting
first-time home buyers. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Up next, we have our favorite inspector to give us the need-to-know on home warranties. Give it up to the owner and founder of the real estate inspection company, Philippe Heller.
There he is. Philippe is back in the house. What's up, my man? Good to see you.
Always good to be here.
So this is a big one today.
Yeah.
I feel like we're taking on Big Pharma today or something. Like this is
It's a hot topic.
It's a big one. Home warranties.
Yes.
I've seen these people around. A lot of the home warranty companies are very big, trustworthy names in the insurance business.
Yes.
And so the question just becomes, from a practical standpoint.
Sure.
You know, because here in San Diego, very rarely are people buying new construction.
Right.
And that's why you're such a busy guy, running around inspecting every single house in San Diego every day. So the reason is because these houses are built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, sometimes even older than that. And things can go wrong with houses that are that old.
Yep.
So these home warranty companies say, hey, buy home warranty from us, and if something goes wrong with the house, we'll take care of it. That's the idea. That's my understanding. I think that's the general public's understanding.
Correct.
From your perspective as an inspector, as someone who's seen the application of these things in the real world, what is it that we need to know about these things?
Well, there are a few companies on the BBB or other review sites that get more hate reviews and negative reviews than home warranty companies. So you're right, it has become very much a standard. In my research, almost 80% of the home sales include a home warranty, where the agent or the seller will include that in good faith, just like when you buy a pre-owned car, they include an extended warranty on it. And conceptually, that's a great idea. It's like, buy my house, I've maintained it well, but just to give you a level of comfort, I'm going to include this home warranty so you won't have any problems, headache-free ownership. And the reality is, it doesn't always go that way.
So now the word warranty, I think, is pretty loosely used in this situation, isn't it? I mean, this is more of a service contract.
Right. People view them as insurance policies, in a sense, where if my dishwasher goes bad, I'm going to pick up the phone, pay a deductible, and get a new dishwasher. And really, these are service contracts. So you're paying a company to keep your stuff running. And if they can't get it to run, at that point, they're supposed to replace it.
Gotcha. So that's different. You know, I mean, in reality, in application, that's different. So tell us some of the ins and outs of how this actually works. Let's say I buy a home warranty.
Right.
And I got a problem with something. I'm calling the warranty company, or I'm calling someone else? Like, what happens there? How does that logistics
functionally,
work?
how does it work? Well, obviously, a company that is providing coverage sometimes all over the country, they don't have ginormous fleets of service contractors. So they contract with independent companies all over the place. Plumbers, HVAC, electricians, you name it. They have them in their directory. So if you call from, San Diego or San Francisco or somewhere in between, they have a local contractor that they call and dispatch them. Now, these small contractors sign up with the home warranty company as a way to get leads. Now, in exchange, they agree, just like health insurance, to provide some services at below market value. So if you called a plumber out of the phone book, he may charge you $150 just to show up to your house for whatever your problem is. These guys agree to do it for much less than that, and they agree to accept that and take care of the problem. But they also view this as a way to get into your house, and then they look for ways to upsell you, and that's where the problem occurs.
Okay, so the first conflict then is in the way that the people who are going to be providing the service are procured. They're essentially procured on the idea that, hey, because we're footing the bill for this repair, we want to get it really cheap.
Right.
But we're sending you into their house and under their sinks or behind their appliances so you can find other stuff.
Well, I'm not sure that the home warranty companies actually, try and promote that, but it exists.
Sure.
That exists, and
that's
I think
that's the reality, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm taking a lead, if I'm doing a discount service, and I'm saying, hey, Philippe, I normally charge $100 for an oil change, but I'm going to charge you $25 because I just want to get under the hood.
Then you find my filters are dirty.
Yeah, I mean,
yes,
that's the reality of the situation. So that's what's happening.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the problem is that these guys who show up will then come up and sometimes invent problems that don't exist in order to either scare the client or try and convince them that, well, this repair needs to be done, but either because of code changes that now they have to make modifications that are not covered, and therefore the homeowner has to pay for it. What bothers us the most is they always try and blame the home inspector, saying, well, he missed it, so he should pay the difference. And then we get angry phone calls, but really, you need to, if you're going to get one of these contracts, read the contract. They are lengthy. They include so many exclusions, it'll blow your mind about.
Exclusions? Things that aren't covered?
Well, yeah. And for example, you'll read what's covered on a simple refrigerator. They don't cover door seals, water lines, leaks, ice makers, lights, switches.
What's left?
So many things that, yeah, it's really what is left. And so they show up because your ice maker fails, and they say, well, you know, the ice maker is not covered under your home warranty, so, you know, I have to charge you outside of the warranty to make this work. Same thing with heating and air. The exemptions are lengthy, so read that contract very carefully.
It's not just about the upsell, it's about the straight sell. I mean, the warranty only covers so much.
Correct.
And it's not a bumper-to-bumper type situation. There's a lot of exclusions in there, and understandably so, in order to keep those insurance policies cheap, to make it, you know, palatable from a home buyer standpoint, I could see where they'd have to exclude a lot of things, probably the things that are most common that would happen, or some of them.
Many times, yes. And the problem is that they really kind of word them in such a way that leaves that wiggle room where they can get out of covering something. You know, they'll come up with scenarios where parts maybe don't match because at one time it had a repair previously, and now they're pointing at that repaired part saying, well, that's not original, so we're not going to cover your air conditioning unit.
What about having the inspection? So like, for example, I'm going to buy a house, right? When I go to buy a house, I call you to come and have your guys come and inspect the house. Show me, what am I buying? That's what you're showing people. Your report is saying, hey, this is what you're actually buying. I know it looks pretty from the street, but here's the insides look like. And so I get that inspection from you. We go through the process, I buy the house. Something goes wrong. And now I have to reach out to the warranty people. Is there something in your inspection that can help me fight that type of situation where they say, oh, well, you know, that wasn't working probably from the beginning?
Yes, one of the best ways to counteract the claim of a pre-existing condition that these guys always use, even months into owning a home, they'll show up and say, well, this must have been a condition that existed before you got the home warranty, therefore it's not covered and I need to charge you, whether it's a garbage disposer, a microwave oven, or dishwasher. The best defense to that is having some documentation. We have responded to those contractors who try and use that all the time by documenting what is working in the home inspection report in addition to what defects exist. So even though it makes the reports a little bit lengthier, we are actually giving you a tool to force the home warranty company to repair something, because you can whip out that home warranty, the home inspection report, and show the home warranty guy that in fact that appliance or that air conditioner was working on the day of the inspection, and therefore it's their responsibility to fix it.
Ha! There you go.
Yeah.
Another piece of value from the inspection report.
Yeah, and they're you know, they cost between $300 and $600, and if you get it in the process of buying a home, great. Utilize it where you can, but you're a homeowner now. You know, you have to expect that there are going to be some repairs. You're probably better off saving that money and just hiring a specialist on your own outside of these. You'll have a lot less headache and you know what you're getting.
Yeah, you'll know what to look for, what to expect, and how it's all going to work. So I guess in that regard, you would probably say buying a home warranty doesn't make sense for most people.
I think you have to view it a lot like when you go buy electronics and they try and sell you the extended warranty, and Consumer Reports and everybody else's, you know, it's just a waste of money. It's literally, they make so much money off of those things, and then they don't stand behind them when it comes time for you to make a claim against them. So really, if you read Consumer Reports or you're thinking about buying one of these home warranties, do your research, look at the reviews, check with BBB, and I think and definitely read the contracts, but I think it'll be an eye-opener where you may reconsider and decide, well, maybe if I just put $600 in a savings account every year towards repairs, you're probably going to be better off.
Very, very good advice. Lee Peller from the Real Estate Inspection Company. Thank you so much for coming in today, man.
As always.
Really appreciate your time. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Planning on selling your home in the springtime? Our next guest is here with some advice for you. Please welcome the owner of Story Estates, Elizabeth Story.
There she is. Elizabeth Story.
Yes.
How are you doing, darling?
Doing wonderful.
Awesome. This is one of those things where we're in the thick of the holiday season right now. I've been talking to so many people who are planning on selling in January, February, March for when this listing. And you know, I'm just kind of trying to walk myself through. I thought you'd be a good person to ask, like, what kind of things should you be doing now if you plan on selling in the spring?
Definitely.
Time? Like, should you be doing anything now, or should you wait until after the holiday? Like, how do you start to plan and do it the smart way so that you can, boom, hit the market and be ready to go?
This is definitely prime planning time. This is my favorite time to actually begin meeting with clients who are going to sell in the spring, because it gives us enough lead time to do some things properly. One of the most important things that's really important to take advantage of right now is landscaping. This is the very best time in San Diego if you're going to be landscaping to sell in the spring, because it's cool and it's wet. So any changes that you need to do with your landscaping can be done much easier. The plants can take root and they'll look greener and they'll look much better in the spring if they have a little bit of root and they have some water systems established, as opposed to if you try to plant them right before you list. Sometimes they can dry out because it gets so hot so quickly. Another really big thing is, you know, decluttering. It can take some time, you know, to go through your things, take down your photos, put things in boxes. So what I like to do is do a walkthrough with all my clients, figure out what they might need to get rid of ahead of time so that they have plenty of time to start doing that in January and start their spring cleaning. And then also, as we know, it takes time to meet with a stager, get your design down, get your furniture portfolio. So we need to, you know, landscape, declutter. Are we going to get the house inspected? I hope we're going to get the house inspected. Almost all my clients do. And then we have a list.
Pre-listing inspection?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're a proponent of that.
Yes. Oh, big time. Because, I mean, why wait for the buyer to get it inspected and be surprised by silly little repairs that, you know, they might nickel and dime you on? I like to have my clients sell their properties, you know, pre-certified, already inspected. We've already addressed any little things on a home inspection that might come up. You know, it takes time to coordinate all that stuff.
I agree with you on that, though, by the way, because if you let the buyer do it, whoever does the inspection gets the advantage.
Right.
And you have the ability to get it before anyone else does.
Exactly.
So why not take advantage of that? But a lot of sellers just aren't, they don't want to do it. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
A lot of agents don't even bring it up.
Yeah.
Which is also mind-boggling to me. So I agree with you 100% on that. Now, with regard to you know, having this extra time to do these different things, I mean, isn't it the case that most sellers are sort of slapping all of this stuff together? In other words, they go, okay, well, we want to sell. Can we get on the market today?
Right.
Like, can we list today or tomorrow, or when can we get this thing? When can we have an open house Sunday?
Yeah. That is not how you do it. That's not how you do it right. Okay, the right way to do things, and that's the thing is, you know, it's really tough because people always want everything right now. We're in such an age of instant gratification and over information. But to list a house properly, it just doesn't work that way. You need time to clean, you need time to stage, you need time to paint, repair, you need time for photos. I like to pre-market my properties to build up some excitement, to build up that little bit of an auction effect, if you will. So all those things, you need proper lead time. And everywhere that you cut a little corner might end up costing you big bucks in the long run, kind of like the inspection, you know.
It does.
It's a few $100, but it could cost you a few thousand if there's something that you weren't prepared for, and then you have to negotiate it in escrow.
And this is where your specialty really is maximizing the investment in the sale of your home.
That's right.
Spending, you know, a little bit of money here to make a lot of money through the sale. It's an opportunity that a lot of people, you know, pass up on or don't know that exists. They know when they sell their house they might net a big chunk of change. But what's the difference between netting $40,000 and $46,000? That's $6,000 of tax-free money. So, you know, they're both big numbers, you know, and it's nice. But, you know, it's an opportunity to really maximize your investment there at the tail end. That's right at the moment where you're going to either maximize it or you're going to miss out.
Right.
And so how much lead time would you say is the right amount of time? Because spring is, you know, some people think, you know, spring is March, some people think it's April, you know, May, it's all of the above. But how much time do I need to really set aside to properly do all of these things if I want to maximize the sale of my home?
So that, and I know I say this a lot, but it really depends on your property. Are you going to be selling a fully furnished rental? Are you selling a 5-bedroom house that's got a bunch of kids' toys? Do we need to paint? Is anything old? So that's really going to depend on the specific property. But I would say for like a family home that's going to need staging and a few repairs and some landscaping, I mean, I would literally like to start meeting with that person either this month or in January to be prepared in March.
So 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
To leave plenty of time.
Right.
And that's also accounting for a little bit of cushion should a few things need to be taken care of. You do the pre-listing inspection. Oh, hey, we got this, we got this, we got this. They're all small things, but we still got to schedule guys to come out, you know, get these things done, and then make sure that everything is properly done.
Yeah.
So if you factor all those things in, really what you're talking about is, let's call it 60, 90 days of being in your home, not missing out on the selling season, the high selling season, but being able to potentially get yourself paid a tremendous return for that extra 60, 90 days.
Right.
That's what you're really selling here.
Yeah, and it's like the old saying, you know, people don't plan to fail, people fail to plan. Like this is the biggest investment in people's lives, okay? You don't decide you're gonna sell today and sell tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. You decide ahead of time and then you do all your homework. And again, you meet with me. I specialize in maximizing return on your investment. I've never had a single time where I had advised a client to spend money that they didn't get it back. So now is the time to meet with me and do your homework and plan for success.
Plus, Elizabeth's fun to meet with. Yes. She's fun to hang out with. So you get that too. Comes with a package. And so the reason I bring that up is through doing Win This Listing. Talking to home sellers, and had a lot of people throughout the course of last year who said, well, we're going to, after the holiday, you know, first of the year is what we're looking at to list a home. You know, but they'll wait until the first of the year to decide for sure we're ready to list the home. So in other words, they want to be on the market within a week or two. Yeah. Now, most agents would just say, oh, sure, give me the listing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go, yeah, okay, give me the listing, and we'll go sell it. You may not make as much money as you could. It probably won't be as smooth as it could, but they'll take the listing. And that's one of the things that you're saying. It's just simply going to cost you money as the homeowner, and the agent's commission may not change a whole lot. They're relatively the same. This isn't about you. This is about them maximizing their actual profit, their net money back at closing.
Right. Well, and I mean, look at it this way. You know, agents don't get paid till it closes, so they want to see it close. And if I'm doing something that's going to delay your closing 30 to 60 to 90 days, I'm doing that in your best interest. You know, I'm delaying whatever I'm going to get 30, 60, 90 days, but I'm doing it because I always put my clients' best interests first. And, you know, if you were to look at my reviews, they're all 5 stars. And there's a reason. I handle every transaction with a lot of integrity and a lot of pride in what I do. And I mean, yes, there might be situations where somebody can call me in January and I can have their property on the market 2 or 3 days because it's already ready. And if that's the kind of person you are, then hey, yay, my job's easier, your job's easier, let's get it on the market. It's not to say that I can't do that. I have gotten properties on the market right away, but most people just aren't in that situation because most people don't live their lives every day in a show-ready house. And if they do, I want to know who their housekeeper is.
I've been in a few houses lately that were like that.
Really?
And I was just like, are you guys putting this house on the market soon? What is going on? This place is ready to go.
Do they have kids?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, one of them is a famous baseball player here locally.
Oh.
And they have an incredible home. It's crazy. 13,000 square feet, you know. But I mean, impeccable, every inch of it. And lots of kids and lots of people living there and all this stuff. And I mean, that was one that I looked at and I was just like, wow, you guys are all on the ball.
Yeah.
But most people live in their homes.
Right.
You know, they make it their own. There's stuff everywhere. And that's okay. That's great. In fact, that's what you should do. But when it's time to sell, you have to sort of shift gears.
Right.
And that's what you're really good at, coming in and saying, okay, this is where we need to shift to so we can appeal the most, so we can get the most money for you, put the most money in your bank account, which is obviously what everyone should want to do when it comes time to sell your home.
Correct.
By the way, you can see Elizabeth on the very first episode of Win This Listing, which is at winthislisting.com. You're on the very first episode there. You did really, really well, made yourself look really, really good. And you'll be on an upcoming episode of Win This Listing as well.
Which I can't wait for.
Yes, that's going to be after episode 4, which will be released soon. Episode 5 is going to be your episode. Yes,
5.
Yes, 5, a handful. And I think that people will really enjoy that one as well. I thought it was one of the best ones that we did all year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Looking really, really good. So thank you so much for your time today.
You.
Thanks for coming in. Hey, if you want to sell your home in the spring, which you should, because that's when you're probably going to get the most bang for your buck, call Elizabeth today. She'll go through everything you need to go through to make sure that you get the most money in your bank account when all is said and done. And of course, Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Your friend and real estate professional. I am super excited today. We're here at Barbusa. Barbusa, if you don't know, is the hottest spot right now here in Little Italy. I'm here next to me, PJ, one of the co-owners of this amazing restaurant and actually the manager as well. This is going to be fun. If you guys haven't been here, I strongly recommend that come check it out. Great vibe, amazing food. PJ.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, brother.
Cheers.
How are
First,
you?
we got to cheers
Exactly.
first.
I
First,
agree.
we gotta
Let's cheers to that.
Have a cocktail and relax.
I don't think there is a better interview than when you start with a drink.
This is true.
What are you drinking, by the way?
This is a Siciliano. It's our take on the old fashioned. So this is actually my favorite drink, and nice big cube and some good ingredients.
So Siciliano. It actually, that leads me to another conversation. We don't only have food here, we have amazing drinks as well, huh?
Yeah, of course. So the whole menu, because drinks and food, were inspired on our Sicilian heritage, where my dad was born, and kind of everything has a little bit of a meaningful kind of piece to our culture. So yeah.
Makes sense. The first time I came here was probably a couple of months ago, like right after I believe you opened. When did you open it?
We opened, it's about to be 6 months, so we opened in June.
Okay, yeah.
We opened in June 2016.
I think it was about July, August, something like that.
Yeah.
I came here the first time, I was walking by and I saw the menu, it says Sicilian fusion, right?
Yeah, modern Sicilian.
Modern Sicilian. So I was kind of curious, so I came in, I sat down, and honestly, I was shocked because I was born and raised in Italy, so we're always accustomed to traditional Italian food.
Yeah.
That's sometimes, pretty much always the same.
Yeah.
So when I came here, what I loved about it's like there's a little twist that makes so unique. Tell me a little bit about the menu, how you guys came up with it.
Yeah. So, my dad's been cooking Sicilian food for his entire life, as well as my grandmother, both great chefs, and so we wanted to actually take Sicilian food that we kind of grew up with, and basically our whole lives were around this type of food. It's that stuff that we grew up eating, but bringing it to the kind of modern American palate.
So we have fusion modern Sicilian food.
Yeah.
Crudo bar, which is like raw fish, right? Then I saw you have a steak, you have pizza. So, Barbusa, how'd you come up with a name? It's a very unique name,
So, I don't know if you know or not, but the last name Busalaki has kind of been a staple in the restaurant world for the last 30 years in San Diego. So we wanted to kind of play off that name. Busalaki was our first restaurant. Busalaki's on 5th Avenue, was open for 32 years, and we just kind of, I think it came along with the whole kind of reinvention, kind of redesigning of our entire group as a brand. So we said, okay, let's look at the Busalaki brand and let's see what we can kind of spin with that. And Barbusa is Bar Busalaki.
There you go. Now I'm thinking about it. That's true. Bar.
In Italy,
Busa.
right? In Italy, a lot of places are called bar.
Absolutely. Yes.
¿Cómo se llama? Bar.
Bar Italia.
Yeah,
bar whatever.
exactly.
Yes.
So,
it's definitely bar with something else.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
But instead of having two words, we decided to do it one, so it's Barbusa instead of Bar Busalaki.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's cool. Hey, PJ, I am starving, number one, and number two, I'm dying to see this kitchen behind there, man. I'm so curious to see how the magic's happen.
Cool.
You ready?
Let's do it. So this is our squid ink fettuccine for our Nero and Riccio, which is our pasta with sea urchin, obviously squid ink fettuccine, jumbo shrimp, and a little bit of Calabrian chilies. It's fantastic.
Sounds amazing.
But just like this, we do all of our pastas just like this, through the machine, hand kind of really authentically handmade. Hand crank.
She's getting the things here, she's cutting it.
Yep.
Boom, then it's gonna cook and out.
So she made these sheets earlier, so she make the sheets, then unroll it, make the fettuccine, and then we serve it. Literally, probably in a couple of minutes, we'll be serving one of these. So it's really kind of hot off the stove.
Look at that, man. I'm just like, whoa.
So this is our 20-ounce ribeye here.
That's the famous ribeye we're talking about.
The famous Sicilian ribeye. So he's actually gonna, oil it up, put some oil.
So this is where you put the crumbs and everything else. Like that's how it starts. Huh?
Yep, exactly. So just rub it in, and then we'll put the breadcrumbs and all that good stuff on top. So Luis is the master of the steak grill, right, Luis? So the nice thing about this steak, obviously, is that we still have the existing oven from Polpazzo. So it's a 2000 degree oven. Wow. So it cooks very fast, and it gives that nice kind of steakhouse steak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's the yolk. That's awesome, man. I mean, that looks so good.
Now we got to get a drink to pair with it.
Exactly. So what's a good pairing for this?
Can we go show you at the bar?
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Can't wait. I can't wait to try it. The drink looks amazing with the amarena on top of it.
Amazing.
Huh? That looks so good. Hey, I gotta try it.
Wait, hold on. You don't want to ruin your soup first.
That's
hold
right.
on.
Italian style, huh?
Italian
With
style.
the
Aspetta. There you go.
With the bit.
There you go.
Check it out.
First,
Oh,
get the
can't
egg
wait,
yolk.
man. Oh, look at that. You have the whole thing.
Perfecto.
Like this, right?
Buon appetito.
Grazie. Oh my gosh, so
good,
good.
huh? How's the drink?
Wow. Strongly recommend this dish. This is the carbonara here at Barbusa. I'm Joe Corbisiero, your host, A Little Slice of Italy. Guys, totally come visit PJ Barbusa restaurant, bar, one of the best places right now here in Little Italy and actually in San Diego. Strongly recommend everything on the menu because I tried it all. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys, thank you.